Hi, friends. I'm Katie.
And I'm Lauren. And welcome to Okay, but Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Bob's Burgers, Season 6, Episode 11, House of a Thousand Bounces, and Episode 12, Stand by Jean. We always start off with a synopsis, so here is House of a Thousand Bounces. It's regular size Rudy's birthday at the park, and the kids are upset the other party nearby was the one to get the bounce house, not them. Louise leads the partygoers in a scheme to steal the bounce house since they won't share. With help from Sasha, they push the bounce house into the pond, jumping and eating cake to their heart's content. The kids from the original party take boats out onto the pond and sink the bounce house. The ranger puts Rudy's party and Sasha in ranger jail, and Rudy finally admits his party was ruined by all of the shenanigans. He just wanted his spoon puppet show, so the kids use office equipment to put on his show. Rudy's party is saved, and the kids get away with their crime. Meanwhile, Teddy points out that a pigeon made it into the restaurant and Bob is terrified of it. Teddy and Linda catch the pigeon but decide to take it to Bob to quell his fear. Bob comes to the realization that his fear is thanks to Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. The pigeon lands in some oil, and Bob has faced his fears, so they do all they can to help the poor creature. And by help, I mean Bob takes a bath with a wild pigeon.
That he does.
So, what did you get for a vacant storefront?
It was Granny Pack's luggage for seniors.
It's a play on fanny
Yes, it is.
packs. And we have our pest control truck.
That is a good mice breaker exterminators.
It's supposed to be a play on a good icebreaker. I think this is one of their not so great ones.
Yeah. Can I say something that's going to make me seem really stupid real fast?
Just for it's okay.
Just so this week was the first week that it occurred to me that I should just wait until the exterminator truck shows up and pause it once to write down both puns. I've been pausing it twice, once to catch the vacant storefront and then again for the truck. It's taken me over a year to realize I should just wait until the truck is there and pause it once and write down both puns.
You're pretty.
I'm
You're
so
so
pretty.
pretty.
My brain, sometimes it works, and for the last year and a half apparently it hasn't.
I'm so proud of you. But do you
Yeah,
want to talk?
but I
You
figured it
did.
out.
You can tell me about the burger of the day now. You love those.
There was a single burger of the day, and that was the ring around the ring around the collared burger.
Yeah, that's the reference. The collar, like the coloring that ends up on your collar, on a dirty collar of your
Yep.
shirt sometimes.
Mm-hmm. But in fact, it was ring around was one word. I'm like, this is
Yeah,
weird.
that was an interesting burger, but there was a burger.
There was a single burger.
I know. You have your amount that you enjoy.
I I have my ideal. It's a scavenger hunt part of the watching
Is
for
that is
me.
that is this what you mostly love about Bob's Burgers?
It's my favorite part, I will
That's
say.
fair.
Like is finding the burger puns. Like I enjoy obviously the show, the chaos, and like
Hmm.
the fact that it requires far less mental energy than watching my own show. Um,
You need that. You need a
but
palate cleanser in
I
life.
we need the balance. I'm watching a lot of plot heavy. I'm weirdly enough watching a lot of plot heavy shows right
That
now.
is weird.
So that just never
So
happens.
Caitlin, the divorce mom, is actually played by Beth
Mm-hmm.
Dover, who is
Okay.
Linda in Orange is the New Black.
Yes.
Not
Mm-hmm.
realizing that until I watched yesterday that because
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and like I always take these notes down before I watch, and then I
Mm-hmm.
watched and I just finished Orange is the New Black, and I had that moment of like, how did
Yeah.
I not put two and two together earlier?
Sometimes it's hard when you can't see their
It
face.
really is. And then Jessica Lowe actually plays Dahlia. She was in
Okay.
Miracle Workers and the Christmas Chronicle movies. John Daly returns as Sasha, and then
Mm-hmm.
did you do you know who played the Ranger Matthew Danko?
No, I didn't. I couldn't pick up on it.
David Herman. So
Dang.
he oh yeah, remember him? David Herman and H. John Benjamin. They really do. They voice so many people. So every now and then we're
Yeah.
definitely gonna have that moment of like, it's either H. John Benjamin or David Herman all the time.
Because it's no longer
It
Jordan
is
Peele.
no longer Jordan Peele, and that really makes me sad.
I'm still glad though that I got my Jordan Peele joke in the Once Upon a Time episode before I found out he was no longer on the show.
Yeah, I wish he'd come back. I hope he comes back. Maybe that note will end up like
Yeah.
obsolete and he'll come back because we still have more opportunities. This title is of course a reference to House of a Thousand Corpses, which is
Mhm.
such an interesting watch if you haven't watched it.
No, I've never seen it.
I have to remind
I
myself.
don't
I
watch horror
know, I keep
movies.
reminding myself. I really think you should at least try Scream. Because
Okay.
as so if you have at least some understanding of your classic horror movies, like not even have to watch them, but understanding of horror
Yeah.
tropes, horror movies and things like that, Scream is a lot of
Mhm.
fun because it's very meta. Because they
Mm.
very much make
Okay.
fun of themselves and talk about horror movies
Mhm.
within a horror movie. And
That's
it's a
fair.
lot of fun. Like I love Ghostface so much. I saw
I've seen
sorry.
I was like, for horror movies that I know that I've seen Cabin in the
Such
Woods.
a good movie. I need
That's a
like a
good
show
movie.
just of the behind the
Yeah.
scenes stuff from Cabin, like them doing other things. I need it so much in
Mhm.
life.
Yeah. I've seen that. We were talking before about Stephen King movies.
Mhm.
I've seen Gerald's Game. Um,
Watch the newer It's, not the old one. I like the newer ones.
okay. Like off the top of my head, like there other I'm sure I've seen other movies that are I watched the was it Megan?
I haven't seen that one yet.
The one with I watched that one recently. I watched that one with Sammy actually. Um Nothing else is coming. I know I've seen other ones, but like it's not a genre that I
Yeah.
gravitate
Go
towards.
back and watch the first Scream movie because the newer one is just called Scream again,
Okay.
which bugs me. Like I need them to because you have to look at the year it came out to make sure you're watching the right
Mm,
one. Because
yeah.
sometimes like whatever picture they use it doesn't show enough to know which one it is.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
watch even just I think there's 5 of them. Because the second one she goes to college and she's in theater.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
So, it gets better. Um where was I? Oh yeah. So, Sasha's description of Dahlia as history's greatest monster actually originates from the Simpsons episode Marge and Change where the former US President Jimmy Carter is described as such. So we got a
Yeah.
Simpsons thing going on here. And the front cover of regular size Rudy's script reads Untitled Spoon Puppet Show Project by Rudy Stieblitz.
So he has a last name.
He does. His last name is Stieblitz. So my first line that I actually wrote down was See you later, Belchers. Sasha, don't call these children that. It's our last name. Well, he still shouldn't say it.
Yeah.
So good.
I have can pigeons open doors? You mean metaphorically?
I haven't held a living thing in a while. It'll be good for me.
You can't own tape.
I'd let that dump me.
I think it's it for lines I have, but
Oh, I have one more then.
oh, go ahead.
Oh my god, I'm Tippy Hedren. Yeah, you wish.
This episode was interesting because I mean, from the very beginning, I clocked that like obviously like some level of either sneaking onto the bounce house or stealing the bounce house was clearly
Yeah.
the shtick here because like that's a really shitty rental company that they thought it was a
Right?
duplicate because there's just because it was the same location, there definitely were different names, contact
Numbers,
information,
credit card
like
number.
regards. Like there was definitely different things on that reservation that make it clear it's not a duplicate order.
Mhm.
So like I'm aware this is the inciting incident of the episode. Obviously, it has to happen. But that's like a really shitty rental company. And then Ruby's dad, Rudy's dad. It's just like, do you have anything for this party? You kind of suck, dude.
Like he should have been a lot more prepared.
Hmm.
I understand the whole like divorced dad trope not being as put together as mom, but like can we stop doing that in
Yeah, I think
media?
it's a bit of a tired take. I feel
Yeah.
like especially
Cuz
like to just down to the basics of it didn't occur to him to get water, like even for himself.
yeah, cuz a lot of parents now mostly in our 30s and 40s are millennials.
Yeah.
We are not the same parents our parents were. At
No.
all.
I
We
say as if
we
I'm a parent.
come You're right. You're friends with enough millennial
Yeah.
parents to know we are not the same. We are usually very prepared in everything that we do. And
Mhm.
dad, like, I think I've seen plenty of articles where dads are like the most involved with their children than they've ever been, like, in
Mhm.
history. So, yeah, no, like that, I don't like this. I don't like it.
I will say when I worked in schools, like when I was in college, let's go back further than this. When I was in college, over the summers, I did clerical work at a local element at one of the local elementary schools. It was different each summer, but I worked at one of them. And one of the things that I did the first week I was at each school each time was called to parents to have them come pick up their kids' report cards if the
Mhm.
kid wasn't like for whatever reason the kid wasn't there on the last day of school. And the advice that I got from every secretary was call dad first. Usually,
Oh.
usually the answer was, and just mainly because he's more likely to answer his phone because their reasoning was dad's phone's usually in his pocket ready to go. The house phone or the mom's
Mm.
cell phone is going to likely either be in a bag or another room. So at least you're going to get a hold of someone on the first try.
Or it's in their children's hands because they're running away with it.
Exactly. So like if you call dad first, you're going to at least get a person, and if anything, he'll just relay it to mom and she'll come in and get the report card, but you're probably going to get a human on the first go.
Oh, wow. I will say though, like, my husband does a lot. Like, my husband takes care of most of the dental appointments, and
Mhm.
like, he does a lot as a
Yeah.
dad. Like, I mean, as we're doing this every week, he's
Mhm.
feeding, bathing. Well, I usually feed them, but like, I feed everybody. But he's usually bathing, taking care of bedtime, story time, all those things. He does bedtime routine a hell of a lot more than I do. I work at night.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
like, dads are involved.
Yeah.
But also Teddy not knowing that there's vodka and Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
Come on, come on, Teddy.
I don't understand the concept of a Bloody Mary.
It's like a salad in a cup, but make it alcoholic. And as a bartender, I've made so many of them that I just,
You're not making it any more appetizing. A salad in a cup with vodka.
yeah.
I just because I don't understand.
Oh, and some put extra pepper in theirs
I
and
don't
hot
I don't
sauce.
I don't get it.
I worked at a bar once that I really loved the brunches we did. I specifically only worked the brunches.
Mhm.
And I loved that we had a variation of mimosas. You could choose so many different
Mhm.
juices for your mimosa. You had your Prosecco. God, we had mango juice, pineapple juice, orange juice. Like, we had
Yeah.
so many different juices. Loved that. But we also had a Bloody Mary bar that I set up, and it had, of course, celery, olives, jalapenos, tomatoes, all these things. And I also had hot sauces. And yeah, it was a thing. They would come in, and so many people. I made more Bloody Marys than I did mimosas.
I don't I
Please
don't get
explain
it.
that to me.
I need someone I not to make people justify their opinions, but if you like Bloody Marys and actively seek them out, please for the love of God, why?
Like, it's like tomatoes, like cold tomato soup.
Yeah, I don't even really like tomato soup that much.
I I like tomatoes. I would snack on the olives
Mm.
during shift. That was fun. I like olives. I can't help it. But like the
Mm.
actual thought of a Bloody Mary, especially as, like, I mean, sober now, but still, like, even the
Yeah.
thought of one, I'm not a huge fan.
Mhm.
Like a screwdriver makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll do
Well,
that.
there's a brunch place that I go to with my family a lot, and it's a BYOB. The way they do it, you can bring your own bottle of prosecco, champagne, wine,
Oh,
whatever
I
you want.
love that.
And because for New Jersey, especially northern New Jersey, the liquor license, I think it's because liquor licenses for like to actually like have and serve the alcohol is expensive.
It
So a lot
is.
of them opt to be BYOB and just upcharge on food, and more people will go for that, especially in that area. So like they offer like mimosa like flights, or they'll just offer like little things like they're like these little like 2 ounce
Yeah,
things of
flights.
different kinds. You can get them individually, but also as a flight
Hmm.
of orange juice. There's a blood orange juice. They have a whole bunch of different flavor options, and you get a couple of those. You just split a bottle that you brought, so you know how much it costs, and you know that you like it, and you decide the ratio. And our ratio is put the orange juice near the glass of prosecco.
I was about to say that's most people. Like, it's like a
Is
drop of orange juice.
if you can see the orange juice, I think you put in too much. That's my personal take, but
As a bartender, you're wrong, but that's only because I'm
but
used to portion sizes.
exactly. Well, this thing is like when it's my BYOB. I mean, to be fair, I also usually
Hmm.
pair that with coffee, so it's a nice it's brunch. It's a
That's a
nice
good. I think that works
you balance it out. We have
as long
you
as
know
there's carbs.
yes, I that place I almost always get either like their regular breakfast thing of like it's like potatoes and toast and they like eggs and
Here's the
bacon and stuff
food.
like that. The food it's always stuff, but like, it's always paired with food. I'm not a brunch person that only does like the bottomless mimosas and nothing else. Then you leave hammered. Like
Does it make you laugh to know we're going to talk about this again in Bob's Burgers?
Yes.
We will definitely be talking about brunch again.
I love brunch. Well, this is what's even funnier, and we'll go back to the episode in a second. But my friends, when we do brunch, normally we say we're gonna do brunch, and it normally ends up being a little closer to like lunch because my friends are just, no matter how early I try and tell them, they're just perpetually late. So I just kind of like add like an hour's worth of buffer, and they know that I do this. So I have like an hour's worth of buffer into what time I actually want to meet up with them, and just in hopes that they'll like be closer to being on
Oh my
time.
goodness.
But what it works out as is that I usually get, so it we the three of us together collectively get brunch as a concept, in that by the time we get there it's 11:30, 12 o'clock. I get coffee and a cheeseburger. My one friend gets a waffle and orange juice, and my other friend either gets a brunch special, which sometimes comes with a mimosa, or she just has water or a milkshake and another kind of burger.
Oh, all right.
So
That is a concept.
collectively we I am brunch, one is breakfast, one is lunch.
It works.
Yep.
Poor Rudy.
He just wanted his spoon puppets. Like, spoon puppets are kind of not, I did write down, oh dear god, not spoon puppets. But, he had an idea for what he wanted to do for his birthday, and I can sympathize with a kid that knew what he wanted to do for his birthday and everyone wanted to do something else.
Which
Because it's
sucks
his
when it's like
party.
that, but
Yeah.
because we
Like,
try
it's
to
his.
always have something fun for the kids to do, but it's always
Hmm.
usually aligned with what my child wants to do.
Exactly. And, like, it's his party, and he lost control of it. And I was very proud of him for standing up for himself, even though he did start crying almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just like, this is what I want to do, and no one wanted to do this, and we all ended up doing this, and we all ended up in ranger jail. And he's just like, I was like, good for him for
With
at least yelling.
with nothing to wash the cake down with.
Exactly. Like, it was good on him for at least yelling at Louise for taking over his birthday party, because I thought that was just a bad take in general. Like, just the bad on, like, yes, Louise is 9, but like bad on Louise
Yeah.
for hijacking Rudy's birthday.
I mean, she thankfully helped try and make up for it, getting
She
everybody
did.
involved and telling them, this is what y'all are doing now. Like, she was still the little bossy 9-year-old, but she
Yeah.
was like, we're going to do this right this time.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the situations where people tend to not like Louise that much because she did something like this, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
she still somewhat redeems herself by telling people, like, okay, nope, we messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Rewind, let's try this again.
Well, because that's the shtick for her. She usually does something that's very controlling 9-year-old behavior, and then eventually learns. And it's the thing of, like, you expect with how often that happens, you
Hmm.
expect her to learn from her behavior, but that's not how cartoons work.
That's not how cartoons work at
Yeah.
all.
So
We're
I
not going
think
to
that's
see too much growth in
like
Louise.
that's why I think people probably continually get mad, is they expect to see growth, and I'm like, it's a cartoon. That this is her shtick. This is what you get.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I also wrote down though about Dahlia, such a small, angry child.
Yeah, but also, like, her mother, man, make your daughter share. That's literally your job.
Like that's what, yeah, I could like Rudy's dad, really do better, Sylvester, please.
Yes.
But at the same time, you see this other sad party and your kids being mean and won't just like all you got to do is just let them bounce. That's all you got to do. Help the guy redeem this. It
Yeah.
really sucks. It's very much Sylvester could have done more, but it's also the company's fault. Like
Yeah.
they should have done better.
Mm-hmm.
Share a little bit. They're kids.
And it's
They'll be fine.
not like you were asking to share with like 40 kids. It was like 5 kids.
This isn't like you're at a festival or the fair or something and you've got 50 different strange kids in a bouncy house. It's 2 small
Exactly.
birthday parties.
Exactly. Sharing could have happened.
Oh, sharing is caring, people.
Sharing is caring.
What did you rate this?
So I gave this one a 5 for plot.
That's fair. Oh, we
I
didn't
think,
talk anything about the bird.
well, that's what I was gonna say. I'm gonna talk about this for a little bit. I found the B plot of the pigeon stuck in the restaurant more interesting to watch than the A plot that was the bounce house.
Like, why did we not talk about the damn pigeon?
I really like the fucking pigeon. I'm with Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Please be afraid of pigeons. I call them the rats of the sky for a reason.
Of course.
They are the rats of the sky. And like, maybe the solution to being afraid of pigeons is not exposure therapy, and then suddenly you're bathing with a pigeon.
The bathing is what gets me.
Yeah, I was not really a big fan of bathing with the pigeons, so I'm just, there's so much going on there with like everyone holding and kissing and loving on the pigeon.
But then it makes me go back to like the horror aspect again too, because his entire fear is based off. What probably happened is he probably somehow ended up watching the birds as a young child and
Yeah.
had it imprinted in his mind, as one does. I mean, I watched
Mhm.
Seven at a very young age, and have had
The
What's in the
box.
Box in my head my entire life.
What's in the
So
box?
you're welcome. And so, yeah, the bird was a weird route,
Yeah.
but it's one that they took. Thank you, Alfred Hitchcock. I don't know what to say
Yeah.
to this.
Yeah, I don't really know how you end that story, but yeah, so I found the pigeon more interesting than the bounce house.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got a 5 for plot because it really just was the A plot was predictable and not as enjoyable as the B plot, and we didn't have as much B plot as I would have wanted. I would have preferred that. And it's not a case of like the next episode where again it's still two very different storylines, but it's the fact that they start and end in the same place.
Yeah, I
That that
love when
that
they
that,
do that.
that gives that one a little more redeeming qualities. So I guess this one gets 5 for plot, and then it gets 7 for character and personal because again, it's Louise's same shtick. The overall character trajectory was pretty predictable. I really wanted to see them let the pigeon go, and not bathe with the pigeon.
Yep,
So this one gets a 19.
that's fair. I
Yeah,
understand that.
that's a reasonable
After
score.
we didn't even talk about the pigeon, like I,
No, I know, and like I don't know if this is a case of because I would say like sometimes my mentality going into watching Bob's episodes, like where I am in my brain, sometimes colors how I watch the show.
mm-hmm.
I don't know because like I wouldn't even say because I took a significant break between watching once and watching Bob's. I watched this the day after because I didn't do it on Friday. I did it on Sunday, the day after getting home from New York Comic Con, and I was just exhausted and
That makes
couldn't really
sense.
enjoy anything. So, like, I don't know if that colored my viewing of this, but I guess only seeing your score will tell.
So I gave plot and character 7, and I gave
Okay.
personal 8.
Okay.
Louise is one of my favorite characters. I can't help that, and I do love Bob. But the pigeon is definitely a choice,
Yeah, it is.
and it's a very interesting storyline, um, and just the weird, mean characters that we
Yeah.
have in this. I think it's one of those things. Not everyone's meant to be likable,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay.
I think so.
Oh boy, Stand by Gene. Bob's Burgers is slow, so the Belcher kids head to Wonder Wharf, and the parents make some fun with ruined napkins. Gene overhears strangers talking about a two-butted goat on a nearby farm, and it's all he wants to see, but fails to convince his sisters to go find the farm with him. They run into their classmates and end up deciding to trek to find the two-butted goat together. Jimmy Jr. is jealous of Gene and Zeke's budding friendship, while Tina follows her fortune to find out who her destiny could be. The kids go through cornfields and over creeks, but find themselves against a field of poison ivy. Gene helps everyone through the ivy, finding the two-butted goat on the other end. Bob and Linda get competitive throwing balled up napkins and create a new game to play with Teddy and Mort called Narts. Linda, the hoop shoot champ, continues to beat everyone to Bob's dismay. As Linda competes with Mike the mailman, Bob considers messing her up and forcing her to lose. His love for his wife keeps him from messing with her, and he celebrates with her in her win. What did you get for the vacant storefront?
I think therefore I jam profound preserves. I liked this one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
And then pest control truck.
Weapons of Mouse Destruction Exterminators,
I kind
which
of like that
also
one
is
too.
these were solid puns. This one.
And yes, you only have one burger, but at least there was a burger per.
Yes, we had at least one per episode, so we can say that. This one was to thine own self be blue burger covered with blue cheese.
Yes. Um, a play on Shakespeare's Hamlet to thine own self be true, spoken by Polonius.
Mm.
Uh, Not a ton
Blue
of
cheese on a
notes.
burger is it's still an abomination.
I'm starting to think it depends on the meat.
I just don't like blue cheese.
I actually tried a blue cheese at my work because we do charcuterie boards. That
Hmm.
wasn't completely horrible, and it made me contemplate life.
Okay.
So this title is obviously a reference to Stand by Me.
Yes.
We already know that. I like this little note. This little note made me happy. This episode's table read was first to take place in 2015. On January 16th, 2015.
Oh, happy
That's my
birthday.
that's my birthday. And my last note is we're gonna discuss this, but this is the episode. It aired on April 3rd, 2000. I'm sorry, no, that's not right. This episode aired as the 100th episode of the show by airing on April 3rd, 2016. Glued Where's My Bob is the 100th episode produced and has been promoted as the 100th episode, despite that it didn't actually come out as the 100th episode. So
Gotcha.
technically, by order of release,
Mm-hmm.
this would be the 100th episode. But the
Okay.
episode that was actually produced as the 100th episode will be our finale of season 6.
Gotcha.
So we're still, in my opinion, since they produced it to be as such, but also we know how TV works. Things don't
Yep.
always get released the way that they're meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole issue with Firefly and how it came out. This is, while it came out as the 100th episode, it's not produced as. So we're still going to refer
Okay.
to Glued Where's My Bob as our 100th episode for
Mm-hmm.
Bob's Burgers due to this.
Gotcha.
Because Glued Where's My Bob is such a good episode and it's so special and they do such a big thing for the 100th episode that I want to honor that.
Okay.
And I just want to start with my first line that I wrote down. All cats are two-faced.
I also wrote that down. I said, yeah, that's pretty accurate. I also have, we went to the hospital when you got a concussion, remember? No.
Come out here so we can see your butt. And then just Louise yelling, nothing weird.
I don't have any other lines, but
I don't either.
So much with the, because like sometimes we go back and forth for a while. But I was like, this one I highlighted a couple. The napkins, it just felt like such a waste of napkins.
I mean, they were ruined. They had already gotten
But
wet anyways.
but then they just kept going. Like I feel like by the time they started on with the wet napkins and the nards, I feel like at that point they definitely weren't using the ruined napkins.
Almost like a whole box was ruined.
Maybe. It just felt I mean that's what I'm saying, was like I love that this episode starts and ends in the same place. It starts with it being a slow day, so Bob lets the kids out and like they left as soon as he said like, how do we take the day off? They're basically already out the door.
How did you get there so fast?
And then throughout the episode, like, you see Jean and Louise's bet, and she was like, how dirty can the restaurant get in one day? And then she gets home and she's like, what happened?
Like, what did you guys do?
How does this happen? So I love that beginning and ending kind of in the same, it all comes together in the end. But when they were playing horse and she's like, name me like your favorite Meryl Streep movie. And so she said, it's complicated. I went, that's my mom's favorite Meryl Streep movie too.
What is your favorite Meryl Streep movie?
I mean, I feel like it's a cliche, but it's The Devil Wears Prada.
Fuck. It's mine too.
It's such a good one. It's so good.
Like, I actually wrote down, what are our favorite Meryl Streep movies? And since I've watched this episode, I own the DVD for The Devil Wears Prada. I love that movie. It's such an iconic movie.
I do unironically love Mamma Mia. Like,
oh, of course.
Yes, it's cheesy. Yes, a lot of the singing is bad. She's not bad in it. I say the same. Mostly the men, but The Devil Wears Prada is just, it's perfection. It's, yes, move at a glacial pace. You know how that thrills me.
It's Meryl Streep being mean. Of course we love it.
It's Meryl Streep being, it's an attractive older woman being mean to people. She's hot and she's mean. What else do we need?
Apparently that's all we need. Is this just a trope we will always look for?
Hot and mean. I've been saying this for years. This is, I mean, that's the entire cast of Agatha all along.
It is.
It really is.
That's why Mrs. Hart died.
Yeah. She wasn't mean enough.
I'm not ruining that for anybody at this point. Like, that's all over the internet.
No, well, also, by the time this comes out, it'll be January.
Exactly.
Like, at that point, statute of limitations is gone. But it's like, someone said about when Agatha, there's one of the things that she does in the episode, someone's like, if Catherine Hahn did this to me, I would cry. But it's very much in the same vein of in Parks and Rec, when, as Jennifer Barkley, she says something to Leslie Knope, and she cups her face and she goes, like, and you can believe me because I don't care enough about you to lie. I'm like, if she just held my face and talked to me about, said anything to me, I would just break down in tears.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I can think about with Agatha is the fact that, like, the second episode where she ends up in a poncho, and the whole time I'm watching that episode, all I have in my head is her from Parks and Rec yelling poncho. But she wore a poncho in Agatha,
which was apparently the poncho. Her just yelling poncho was apparently ad-libbed. They
Did
just
you?
needed they needed a way just to they just needed like a footer on that scene real
Yeah,
fast, and that's they just threw that in there.
Joe Locke's. You saw the line that he ad libbed, right?
No, which one did he ad lib?
I don't want to go back in the closet.
Oh, that was an ad
That
lib?
was an ad lib.
Oh, good for him. Good for him. That's solid.
Right?
That's fantastic.
Back to Bob's Burgers.
Yes, back to Bob's Burgers. If you want to listen to our Agatha special, I'm sure it will have a very fun name, but it will have come out sometime in the beginning of November.
and will probably be 2 hours long.
Very likely. We haven't recorded it yet. At the time of recording, Agatha All Along still has 3 more episodes in 2 more weeks.
We're dying. Um,
It's
of
fine.
course,
Everything's fine.
yeah. Of course, Zeke's the one that's like, it's fine, let's get shocked. And then ends
Yeah.
up twitching the whole
Yeah.
time. Every time he twitched, I laughed. Like every
He's
single
like,
time.
he's like, oh, season up, season up.
Oh, I thought that was over now. All right, I have beef with Jimmy Jr.
Is I imagine we likely have the same beef with him.
Why is Gene carrying everybody, but Jimmy Jr.'s wearing pants?
Exactly. I wrote that down too.
Jimmy
Like Jimmy
Jr.'s
Jr.
wearing
should have been the
pants.
one to walk. Jimmy Jr. should have been the one to walk through the poison ivy. He's the only one wearing pants.
He's the tallest. He's the oldest. He could have carried every single one of them. And then we could have had a wonderful little line between him and Tina.
Exactly. Like I have multiple beefs with him. So I wrote that one down. I also wrote down he's jealous of Gene. It's cute that he's sensitive, but I still hate him because he only decides he wants someone when someone else wants them. With Tina and
Every
Zeke,
time.
it's the same fucking thing. I get that you're a 13-year-old boy, but like suck it up.
We can hate on him. He's voiced by H. John Benjamin, and we love
There you
him.
go. Perfect. There we can hate on him because he's voiced by a man.
No, like, I feel like everybody hates Jimmy Jr., though, but, like,
Yeah.
Tina has so many options, and we see her go through
Mhm.
that within this episode with the fortune that she reads. And I love that she jumps very quickly off Daryl of like, oh,
Oh yeah.
maybe Daryl, and then nope, never mind. But then of
Mm-mm.
course, and then Zeke's is okay, Zeke, maybe Zeke, and then he's shocking himself, and then Jimmy Jr. is just being an asshole like he always is, and I'm like, eh. Rudy was one too. I think she even for a moment, I'm like, Rudy's so much
Yeah.
younger than you, honey. Let's not do that. That's a little weird.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I went Tina, no, crushing on a kid the same age as your sister. Not a good take.
Nope, no. Um, but also Bob's love for Linda at the end is so fucking cute.
Yeah, because he realized, like, at the end, he realized that, it's okay that she's better at this than him. She's his wife.
That's exactly right.
Marriage means letting your partner be better at you than things.
It really, yeah. Like being able to see on top of the fridge. So many people ask me about that too, with my husband being like 6'5". 6 foot. He's like between 6'5" and 6'6". He keeps saying different numbers. I don't know. I'm not all the way up there.
Uh-huh.
And it always bugs me because he puts things so high. Like I cannot
Mm-hmm.
see what is on top of the refrigerator unless I'm really far back or it's near the edge.
Mm-hmm.
I have found things up there using the step stool before that I'm like, where did this come from? Because he hides
He's
stuff from me.
he's in an entirely different climate zone.
Exactly. That's okay. I started hiding things really low because I figured out he's actually not trying to look down low on like shelves. So in
Mm-hmm.
like the pantry and in the fridge and stuff, if I put it really low, he doesn't know it exists.
No, there you go.
I have achieved my revenge.
There you go.
But people ask me about that. People also ask me really inappropriate questions about that, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, that's another issue.
It's such an issue. But I love that we get to, like an insight on their marriage. I love that they make an
Mm-hmm.
absolute mess of the restaurant, but also the part where there's actually customers sitting in the restaurant
While they're doing this, yes.
while they're doing this. Why are people just sitting there? Like, why?
They wanted a burger, and yes, there's a lady throwing napkins at the ceiling fan. It's fine.
But did they break to make burgers?
I'm going to imagine they had to have. Maybe there was like a break between tournament rounds.
I really hope they did, because if they didn't, they're dumb. It was already a slow day.
Also, I feel like we started seeing other customers once Bob lost.
That is true.
We
Maybe he
mostly
was
were
like
because
cooking.
he lost. Yeah, because he lost almost immediately, and
Mhm.
we mostly saw other customers there while Linda was up against Teddy, Mort, and Mike.
Yeah, which
So
Mort is more. You see less and less of Mort after a while.
yeah,
Like he kind of doesn't show up as much anymore, which is really interesting. And there's been speculation of that, like why doesn't Mort show up as much? And then you watch different episodes, you're like, did they just start to write him less because the Belchers were actually being kind of rude to him?
I likely.
Because they keep Teddy in no matter what. Like Teddy, like we have Teddy
Mm-hmm.
always. I don't
Yeah.
think we go very long without seeing Teddy, which I have new episodes to watch tonight of Bob's Burgers that I
Ooh,
haven't yet.
there you go. There really was a two-butted goat.
There was a two-butted goat, which does happen. There's
Yeah.
anomalies within.
Yeah.
There's been two-headed deer, two-butted goat. There's been all kinds of things like that. The goat farting though was definitely not like. How did it fart out of both buttholes at the same time?
That it would imply that not only does it have two anuses, but it's got multiple digestive tracts
Exactly.
and can fart simultaneously in fart many.
The things that we talk about.
It's been a night.
It has been a night. We went from talking about Peter Pan Granddaddy to
Great granddaddy.
great. You had to correct me on that one too. To two-butted goats farting.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think you'd do this with your life?
No.
What did you rate this?
So I give this one, plot is a 7. It's a good plot. It's like I said, it's better. I like more so that it starts and converges the same. It's the same points. Overall, like plot wise, what we're following is perfectly fine. Nothing against it. Not like my super favorite plot ever, but also nothing against it. So it gets a 7. And it gets 8s for character and personal, because I think we do see a lot of growth of the characters in both individual arcs. It's like we see a lot of growth, especially with Jean and to an extent Louise. But then we see, obviously, like you said, with Bob and learning to let Linda be good at things, even when he isn't. That's why it gets 8s for character and for personal. So this one gets a 23, which is a solid score.
It's not super high, but not low.
Yeah, it's not like what I call the baseline being 7s across the board. That feels like the baseline of like, it's fine. I got nothing else to say about it. Like if there's aspects of it that I actively enjoy, it starts going a little higher. So I'd say 23 is a good score.
That is a good score. As long, I mean, we always score this, but I swear it always stays within usually the top 10 points. It never seems to even go down to halfway very often. Like it's very rare that it goes down near 15.
Like, if we look at I definitely have scored Bob's. I definitely don't. But Once Upon a Time, we can definitely.
Oh yeah.
See, mine has definitely dipped. Yeah, Once Upon a Time, I have 115, 2 14s, 2 13s, and a 12.
Yeah. But still, like with all those episodes, it's not like it happens too often.
Oh yeah, that's out of a total of 54.
That's very low.
So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So just over 10% of the episodes we've watched
Not bad.
have been below a 15. Have been 15 or below.
I scored this 7 for plot. Like I think it's a pretty good plot. It's not the best. Like the two-butted goat fits in with Jean and Zeke, but then everybody kind of just piling on for like what these two guys want was kind of weird for me. But that's the motivation.
Yeah, and like it's the case of like it's a day with nothing to do and it's something to do.
Exactly, which is Stand By Me. And
yes, but they definitely shouldn't. They definitely should know how to read a map before they start wandering the side of a road without a sidewalk.
Just maybe.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And then when it comes to Bob and Linda, I really enjoyed seeing like the competitiveness between the couple, but then of course it's still working out in the end because my husband and I are pretty competitive. And we rarely get like really angry when we play games together. It's usually just like a fun competitiveness. So I kind of enjoyed that aspect, just like seeing it from my own relationship as well. Character and personal, I gave 9, and like it's 9 for character just because Jimmy Jr. is an asshole.
Yeah,
so it's only 25 for me. So like still a solid score. Like these aren't bad scores in the slightest, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
But we're almost done with season 6.
Yeah. Like we said, like not like season 5 I think was abnormally good for me, like when it comes to like that was like a very high, like on average there were very few low scored episodes. And like we said, like they're not all gonna be winners, they're not all gonna be your favorites. Like it's just, especially with so many episodes,
you had a pretty good beginning, like, I think, to season 6 as well too.
Yeah, season 6 was pretty well. Yeah, season 6, if I pull my score back up, let's see, season 6, Yeah, I started 27, 26, 28. You know, I had a 20 a little further
Mm-hmm.
in, then there was 20, 22, 23, and then 19 and 23 as
I
well.
mean, then we saw Sacred
Um
Couch and it all went downhill.
Sacred Couch, that was 22. But it's like they're not
Good.
all gonna be winners.
Yeah.
Like, it's like with the first, with the first half of season 3 of Once Upon a Time, they're not all gonna be winners. And like I was so far accurate in that the multiples of 3, I'm not saying those numbers again. The multiples of 3 like were like the shining moments in between the why am I watching this? What are we doing here? Can we be done
Mm-hmm.
now with Daddy Peter Pan?
Granddaddy. Great granddaddy.
Granddad, great granddaddy. Daddy Peter Pan's just
I
easier to
know.
say. But it's soon we will be off of Daddy Peter Pan and onto a very pretty lady just to look at and listen to.
And with this, like,
Because
you're what, like almost to the halfway point of Bob's Burgers.
yeah. And not almost to the halfway point of Once Upon a Time, despite what I
No.
said a few weeks ago, because I can't do math.
Math is hard.
The computer does the math for me. That's what I always say. My work computer does
Mm-hmm.
Excel does all the counting, and Notion does all the counting and averaging for us. Like, I built it so I had to do the least amount of math possible.
And as I've always
And that
said,
was on purpose.
as long as you are enjoying the show, we'll
Hmm.
keep going. If you have ever point
Exactly.
have to be just like, dude, I don't know if I can keep going. Like, it's okay because Bob's Burgers is
Yeah.
very long. Like, because they
Yeah.
still make this show. So
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
take no offense. I take a little bit of offense. Let me take that back. I take a little bit of offense, but it's
I'm
okay.
still enjoying the. I'm still enjoying the show overall, and I want to at least get to the movie before I make a final decision as to whether or not I can't do this anymore, kind of
That's
thing.
completely fair. Because this could go
Like,
on forever, is why I say that.
yeah,
So if we ever
there will
reach,
definitely come to a point.
yeah,
Yeah, there'll definitely come to a point where we have to, like, obviously stop and let episodes air, because at some point
yeah.
we'll probably catch up.
Like, even if we get to the point that we catch up and it's like, okay, we have to take a break, but this is going to be our main show. But then we can get to a point like, okay, we've got like a couple of Bob's Burgers episodes we can talk about real quick. We are able to jump and
Yeah,
pull those out, do that. And it's such an easy thing to talk about for real quick that it's something we can kind of continue while doing other things.
exactly.
That, because, I mean, it'll still be quite a while till we catch up because
Hmm.
we are on season, what, 15?
Yeah,
But with how long of breaks that Bob takes,
and
like
we don't
we don't. Well, we try
usually.
not to.
Knock on wood, we don't. But
Usually,
also, we also do 2 episodes at a time.
so we'll get caught up eventually. It may
Yeah,
take another couple of years, but
we'll get
we
there.
will get caught up. And when that happens, that just means I've got to find something else to rant at you about because what am I supposed to do through the summer if there's no Bob's Burgers?
Exactly. When we eventually get to Once Upon a Time, when we get to the end of that show, most likely, yeah, I say most likely the L Word, since
I have a
you've
feeling.
already started watching Gilmore Girls and Ghosts, which are 2 shows that I would have conceivably made you watch. You've already started those.
Oops, you told me to watch them already. That's on you.
Oh no, I've done this to my here are the consequences of my own
Of my own
actions.
actions. That's okay. I have put off the L word still
Hmm.
because
Yeah, you should continue to do
I'm
that.
terrified.
I would
I'm
recommend,
terrified.
for your own sanity, continue to do that, because
We're gonna get into some weird shows eventually.
but what's gonna make it even better is by the time we get to the L Word, it will have aged even worse. Cause like it aged badly kind of by the time it was over. Like, the first season aged badly by the time that
Oh
the show was
wow.
over. And it's just progressively gotten worse, even once you go into the reboot.
There's a reboot?
Yeah, they did a Generation Q. It was Generation Q. It was a couple of years later. Or I guess it was probably like maybe 10 years later is when it started. Maybe 10, 15. I don't know. Maybe
My
10 years later
god.
sounds about right. And they really still, they tried to handle some of the same topics with more grace than they had in the first time.
I'm
They did
so
not
excited.
succeed.
Oh my god. But I have to wait. Once upon a time first.
It's gonna be great. Yeah, we have to get through 7. We have to get through the last 5.5. Nope. Yeah,
You got
hang on.
this.
4, 5, 6, 7. 4.5 seasons.
Did we just discuss that you don't like to do math?
I did
The
it on my
way you're holding your
fingers.
fingers right now. Oh my god.
Because I usually tend to count the
Yeah.
way you do it in ASL, which is 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4,
You
like
like
that. I'm saying it
this
as
is
if the
such an
people listening
awkward
can
thing
see
to
what
do
I'm
with your
doing.
fingers though. Trying to hold up your other fingers but keep your pinky down just makes you feel like you're trying to do a weird like Agatha or WandaVision Wanda thing, honestly. But when you look at it at a different angle, you realize what you're doing. But then if you turn it, it looks cool. Like that's okay, we're gonna stop doing this now.
We are gonna yes. We're doing a lot of things that the listeners can't see.
I'm sorry.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Once Upon a Time, episode 311, Going Home. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our Patreon, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Katie and Lauren and edited by Katie.